Hi guys, it's Carisa, and I'm finally going to do an update on my weight progress. I have gotten a lot more messages about this lately, and I think the reason is because it is that time of year where everyone wants to start fresh and try and go into the next year with some weight loss. For those of you who are starting a ketogenic diet, I know that there are a lot of you who want to try this, especially those of you who have been in contact with me about it. I apologize that I'm not the greatest source for this because I feel like I'm probably the weirdo when it comes to the things that I decide to eat and that I choose to have compared to other people who do this diet. So I feel weird about telling you the things that I eat because I don't really eat full meals or make recipes. It's just, that's how my lifestyle is, and that's how I used to eat before. It was just different things that I was having. So, of course, if you ever do have questions for me, I am happy to answer them, but sometimes if it's related to, recipes or the things that I specifically eat, I don't really feel like I'm that helpful. That being said, I wanted to start this video off with some tips that I have for you for starting a ketogenic diet. I do have a playlist of videos that I will link below, just related to times when I have talked about this before, but I know I was also pretty vague and I wasn't really an open book at all about what I was doing because it can be met with a lot of criticism. I want you to know that if you are going to embark on this journey, the first thing that you should think about doing is not talking about it. I think that it's so much more likely to be something you can stick with and do for a long term if you look at it like it's a secret at first and like you're just going to make different decisions. You don't have to walk into a room and announce to your friends, I won't be eating bread today. There are going to be people who kind of want to see you fail because let's face it, we're human beings and some people kind of enjoy that sort of thing because people are jerks. So people will ask you, oh, how's it going? Because they want to hear you say, I'm not doing it anymore, or I couldn't make it work. But if you wait until you have results and until you kind of have a system down to expose what it is that you're doing, people will respect what it is you're doing and they'll be more likely to listen. See, that's what I did with you guys. Because I wanted to tell you, but I was scared. So I do think that people will be a lot more open to it and a lot more receptive to what you're doing. I also want you to not feel like you have to have a partner or a team member doing this with you. Because when it comes down to it, you are accountable for you. I mean, if you have children, yeah, you've got to, feed them and raise them and stuff. But I also am pointing at you with my paint-covered fingernail, so please ignore that. But seriously, let's think about this. The way that you look now, if you're unhappy with your weight, it's because of things that you have put in your mouth. You chose to do that. You chose to eat those things. So regardless of any other aspects of what made you make that decision, if it was guilt, if it was social aspects, all of the reasons that we eat things that we shouldn't, or we eat quantities of things that we shouldn't, have to do with a choice that we've made. So don't feel like you have to find somebody, or you can't do it unless your partner or spouse is doing it, or you can't do it unless you have somebody else to talk to about it. Because the internet is full of people who are already doing it. I'm one of them, and we can be here for you. It also doesn't have to be expensive. It can be something that you manage really well, where you can, kind of break down things by how you're going to eat throughout the week. Look at how you already eat. If what you do is go to a fast food restaurant 2 or 3 times a day, because there are people who do that, this is going to be less expensive than that because you'll be eating things that you've purchased at home and that you're eating portions of. I think that there are ways to make this diet incredibly expensive by eating a lot of seafood and steaks and basically just by eating a lot of meat in general. I do this very, very, very low meat because I'm not really a fan of eating meat in the first place. But what I'm saying is you can buy things for salads, you can buy things for casseroles, what's cheaper than eggs? Find things that you know that you'll like, that you'll be able to eat pretty regularly, just to start, and work from there. The big thing for me when I first started was I ate crustless pizzas all the time. I have that in one of my previous videos. I put a bunch of cheese in a pan and sprinkled some pepperoni on top and put it under the broiler, and I would just eat it that way. And that's not terribly expensive at all. So just don't get intimidated by this, because when you start researching this, you'll want to look up recipes. I think that that's just a natural thing. People are like, I want to find stuff to make. But my personal feeling is that recipes are an expensive way to completely throw money away. Especially if it's something that you don't even know if you like or if you haven't made it before. So just for example, if you buy all these ingredients to make something and you make it and you hate it, or you burn it, or you didn't like how it turned out, that's all that money for all of those ingredients that you've thrown away. I do encourage you, if you're going to make a recipe, to not double it, to, maybe even halve it if you're able to. Make a very small amount and don't use all of your ingredients towards it. Just in case you don't like it, you can use that stuff for other things, or you can eat them on their own. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't feel like you have to make a big production out of it. Just pick some things that you know that you'll be able to eat and eat those, and kind of plan slowly. If you're able to, I would even say dedicate yourself to only buying enough food for the next couple of days, the next maybe 3 or 4 days at the most, and then just go back to the grocery store and buy more of some of the things that you do like and you are enjoying, or buy a few other things to try, and just sort of slowly incorporate new things into your overall diet. There are people who will tell you don't overdo it on something, so, if you really like cheeseburgers, don't eat cheeseburgers every single day, because you'll get sick of it and it will be one less option for you. But I found that if there were things that I was really looking forward to having and I really liked them, I was like, who cares if I get sick of this, because then I'll move on to something else. And it does give me an opportunity to sort of evolve the things that I try, and breaks things up for me a little bit. So those pizza pan things that I was making, the crustless pizza, I very rarely eat one of those anymore. I just don't even want it. And one of the last times I made it, I ate less than half of it and didn't want to finish it. So it does happen. You will get sick of some things, but it's okay, because basically it's whatever can keep you from eating some of the other stuff you shouldn't. Because I think that if you're starting this diet and you ate just about anything, it'll be tough at first. I personally didn't have as much of a problem cutting a lot of those things out, because in an effort to try and lose weight to improve my fertility, I had cut out, I would never buy like a loaf of bread or a box of pasta. There were just some things that just weren't an issue in my life. Then there were some other things, like whenever I would get really, really depressed, I would make myself a milkshake, or I would go buy a milkshake. And I even had kind of gotten to the point where I was like, well, I'll make a healthy milkshake and I'll use avocado, cocoa powder, sugar, and milk. And it was full of sugar. It had like a cup of sugar in it. So I obviously had to get rid of some vices in my life. You'll have to work on that too, but don't feel like, just don't police yourself too much. And that goes into my next recommendation. This is something I feel very passionately about, and this is something that has kind of kept me off of some of the message boards and some of the places that I got most of my information when I started, because it is hard to see people do this to themselves over and over again, and I don't have time to answer every one of them. Thankfully, there are other people who will do that, but I feel very passionately about the fact that I think I have been successful because I don't think about it very much. I don't obsess about it. There are some people who are like, I'm on a diet, I have a lifestyle change, this is what I'm doing now, I don't eat bread anymore, I'm going to talk to everybody I know about it and let them know why I think that I'm doing this superior thing. And it's like, no, pause. Just eat differently. Just, the next time you're going to eat something, just eat what you know you should. That's it. Take all that noise out of your head. Don't buy expensive keto sticks to check and see if you're in ketosis. There are many people who will tell you in message boards, and there are doctors who will let you know that that is not an accurate way of measuring whether or not you are in ketosis. There are physical cues, and it's just basically a scientific fact that if you eat 20 grams or less of carbs a day, your body will work its way into ketosis. So keto sticks are like a urine dipstick, just like a pregnancy test or an OPK. And they're expensive and they're inaccurate, basically. They measure excess ketones, and so it takes a while for your body to catch up to what's actually on the stick, and it's not in real time what it is that you're doing. Don't waste your time with it. Don't obsess over whether or not you're in ketosis. Don't be like, if I eat this, am I going to be kicked out? Don't even kicked out of ketosis. Don't even think about those things. Just eat how you know you're supposed to eat, and you will be where you need to be. It's just that simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. You do have to figure out your percentages for fat and carbohydrates and protein. And I think that you could even plug in some very basic ones. You know, like the first recommendation is to just do 20 grams of carbs. But if you have a very active lifestyle and you need to have more carbohydrates than that, you can work that out. There are calculators online that you can look that up with. And then after that, just kind of use it as a guideline. Don't freak out about it. I think that that advice is universal for any type of dietary change that you need to make in your life. Say it's medical reasons. You can't have a certain type of food anymore. Or you just found out that you're allergic to something, or, you know, whatever. I think that if you really think about it all the time and you're always like, well, what would it do if I just had a little bit of it? Or I don't know, I think you're just setting yourself up to fail. And I also think that you're making it seem like a bigger deal than it is. And that's why people say you have to call something a lifestyle change instead of a diet. It's not about actually saying the words lifestyle change, because people have nagged on me about that before. Like, you shouldn't call it a diet, it's a lifestyle change. And that's not the point. The point isn't to say that. The point is to believe that. The point is to say, this is how I eat now. And I'm just going to eat this way. And if sometimes I don't, I'll just go right back to it afterwards and I'll be okay. Everything will be okay. My last little bit of advice about starting a ketogenic diet is to not believe that it is magical, because it's not. You do have to do things a certain way for it to work, and you have to keep going. A lot of people say that you need to beware of your success, because it can be a problem for some people when they lose so much weight so quickly and it seems so easy. But then it kind of cycles back, where sometimes you do have something you shouldn't, or sometimes you just have a craving and it's killing you, and you have to kind of work your way through it again mentally. You have to just get through it. I am at the thrift store constantly looking for new clothes. And, you know, I'm bringing back the stuff that I bought last time that's too big for me now, and I'm buying new things, and I'm constantly changing my wardrobe. And some days that feels so good that I just want to be like, oh, I should just have a blowout weekend and eat whatever I want to. And I get that. I know it's your head. It's playing tricks on you. And I think that what really matters is that you should just keep your goal in mind. Just keep looking ahead at how far you have to go. Celebrate the victories, but don't linger there, because you can get too confident too fast and be like, well, I can eat a muffin, or I don't know, whatever it is that people want or crave when they are on this diet. And one muffin can turn into a month of muffins. You know what I mean? A month of muffins. That sounds like a weird month. I tried to be even more relaxed than I normally am about this during the holidays. I basically looked at it as an opportunity to have some things that maybe I normally wouldn't let myself, but only if I wanted to. That was kind of my plan. I think that it's dangerous to go into it saying, you know, oh, for the holidays, I won't do it, because then you start to sort of excuse everything, and, you know, you start your morning with something you shouldn't have, and you just do it all day long. What I did was I kind of went into it like, well, I started my morning the same way I always do. I had a liter of water, and I had a cup of coffee or tea, and then I had more water, and then just decided as I went throughout the day, you know, what I was going to eat next and whether or not it was part of the ketogenic plan. Most days I did really well. I actually think the day before Christmas Eve was the first time that I really kind of let go and had some things that I shouldn't have. But I don't even want to look at it like that, because it was things that I chose to eat, and that I was kind of, I don't know, that I was just allowing myself for the holiday, for time I was spending with family. And I look back at that whole time frame, the timeline between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day, and I realized that I could have gotten away with not cheating or, you know, eating things that weren't part of keto the whole time. I totally could have done it and been just fine. But there were times when I just wanted to eat some of the things that were available to me, and some of them didn't feel like they were worth it at all, but I didn't kick myself for it. About once a week, I'll usually let myself have something that's outside of what keto is. It's usually one whole meal, just one meal once a week that I'm allowed to have. But sometimes it's the entire weekend. Sometimes it's like Friday night's dinner all the way through to Sunday night's dinner. I think that's another thing that's going to make me successful on this for the long term, because this is kind of the same pattern I had before when I was trying to conceive. I was probably about 75-80% raw vegan. It was juice. It was juice all the time, juicing things. Or just eating like a vegan yogurt with blueberries on it. That's how I would eat most of the time during the day. But then when I was sad or depressed, or, if I had just gotten my period, everything was available to me. In my mind, I could just try and gross myself out by stuffing myself with as much awful things as I could possibly eat. I would order a pizza with Mike and eat half of it. I would go out and I would get a giant ice cream sundae. And I remember that time frame, like I would feel okay about it because I knew, I eat a lot of fruit and most of the time I'm really good. And that's not any different than how I am right now. I just realized that the fruit was the problem. The things that I thought were healthy, that are probably great for most of the population, weren't okay for me because of my insulin resistance. So I was essentially having, little sugar and carb binges in addition to a very high sugar and carb lifestyle because of all the fruit I was having. And juicing is so much more expensive than eating ketogenic. It's so much more expensive, especially if you're only buying organic fruit. I was hand pressing giant glasses of orange juice for myself every morning, and it was the most delicious, amazing orange juice. It was the reason I got out of bed in the morning sometimes, is to have my pressed orange juice. And I'd use my old-fashioned orange juice press, and I had a system for how I did all of it. I was so healthy in my mind, but it's frustrating because when I was first vegan years ago, in like 2006 or something, I felt then how I feel about keto today. Like, it is a dirty little secret that once people find out about it, they will grill you with questions and make you feel like a bad person for eating the way you do. And now, eating, like, if you're like, I'm vegan or I don't eat dairy, you are so highly regarded. For whatever reason, that's just the mentality of things now. So I am just hoping that I can lead by example with what I'm doing now and continue to feel good and continue to achieve the things that I am working towards and set a good example for those of us who always thought we were doing the right thing. I weigh myself every Friday morning, and I used to take photographs every single Friday, but after a while they weren't really looking that different every single week. It's a lot more drastic at first when you first start. At least it was for me. So I decided to only take pictures 2 times a month, sometimes 1 time a month. I guess it just depends on when I feel like it. But right now I'm kind of more on an every other week system for photographs. But I will still weigh myself every single Friday, and then every other Friday I will take measurements. After having several pieces of pizza at our Christmas Eve party and going out to dinner a couple of times and not necessarily making 100% keto, like pro keto choices, and just kind of relaxing my boundaries a little bit for the last few weeks, I still had a loss on the scale on Friday, and I'm at an all-time low weight, for me for the last several years. So I am at 248.4, and I feel like that's not even real because I don't feel that different. I really don't feel like I'm any thinner. It's weird because some days I do. Some days I feel like I am wasting away, and how come people who see me don't even notice? But I think that it is a lot more subtle, especially because of how big I was. But most of the time I just feel like you don't look any different at all, and your scale is probably broken. But I'm looking so forward to, I don't know, I just feel like if I feel this good now, how great am I going to feel when I get closer to a goal weight? Because The reality is I probably have to lose about 150 pounds to be considered at an ideal weight. And that right there is just so overwhelming. I also have a lot of fears about, and I know that I am so ahead of myself on this. This is so cart before the horse, but I do have times where I get really scared of being successful and having to have skin removal surgery in the future. I know that for a long time, that was something that prevented me from even trying to lose weight as seriously as I could have in the past, because I thought, I don't know, I just have these irrational fears about having a skin removal surgery. Like, I just won't even live through it. So I'll spend all this time trying to get thin, and then the skin removal surgery, I'll just die. But even if that were to happen, which is probably really unlikely, wouldn't that be less embarrassing than dying from just being obese and having heart disease? Or, that's what I have to keep telling myself. I guess I just feel really good, and I want you guys to feel good as well. And I know that a lot of you are embarking on different forms of weight loss journeys. Just being that it's the new year is a part of resolutions. And I know that a lot of people are also giving keto a try. And I want to encourage you to do so. I really want to get the message out there to all of you that you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to stress. And above all, you don't have to be in competition with anybody else. Eyes on your own paper. Do what you need to do for you, because you can do it. You can do it. Take before pictures. Hold those dear. Hide them away as much as you can at first, because I know it's going to be hard to look at. But you will be so thrilled with your results. I'm sorry if I sounded angry or preachy, but I just feel so strongly about the fact that this is something that anyone could do. If you are an adult and you are able to buy groceries for yourself and make meals for yourself, and you're in that position in your life, it couldn't be easier. If you still live at home and your parents are the ones who buy groceries or cook your meals, I know that can make things more difficult, but have the appropriate conversations that you need to have with the people who are involved in those aspects of your life, and show them the research. Do as much research as possible. Read, and find out anything that you possibly can that will help you in this situation. I know that for me, I've done a lot of extreme things in the past with my diet, and my husband's been nothing but supportive through all of it. But when I started this, I know he was skeptical. But I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, he was doing it with me because he was so inspired by the progress that I'd made. And I think that that's what you need to do. Just show people by example what it is that you're doing and how it works, and it'll speak for itself. My current mini goal is that by my 6-month mark, which is on February 15th, that I will have lost 40 pounds total. So I'm going to just keep going. If you have any questions for me, or if there are any types of videos that you would like to see, or if just there's information in general that you want me to do videos on regarding this, please let me know. I do get a lot of different requests for just making videos about this, but I don't know what specifically you'd like to see or hear about. So just let me know. I do get nervous about talking about weight loss, and I did bring this up on my Instagram account this week because I do like to share my progress, especially the days that I share my progress are normally not days I'm proud of it. They're normally days when I'm really down and I'm having, fertility related blues, or I just, for whatever reason, don't feel so good about the world and life in general. And that's when I think, all right, pause for a moment and just reflect on where you are right now from where you used to be in August, and appreciate how short a period of time that is. And then I'll share it with you guys, and, kind of in hopes to encourage others who are in a similar position, who are just feeling down. And I get such positive responses from all of you, and it really touches me. I know that clicking like on a picture on Instagram doesn't seem like a big deal, but it really shows me how many of you are rooting for me, and how many of you make me feel like I have so much more power than I even realized to do the things that I actually want and need. So that's just so important to me, and I really cherish that. But I also don't want it to seem like I'm all, in your face, like, oh, look I'm losing weight. I don't want that to be how it seems. So just know that I do try and keep a nice balance, and I don't try and avoid making videos about this. Well, I guess I kind of do. I just don't want it to seem like that's all I ever talk about and that that's my only interest or focus. Because truly, again, the reason why I think that it's been so successful is because I kind of put it in the background of my mind and my life. And it just, I don't know, that's just what works for me. So just know that I won't necessarily, I don't know, maybe I could do something once or twice a month for you. Just let me know what it is that you would like, and I'll try and work on that. But I finally felt like I had some things to say. I wanted to share it with you. Thank you for letting me do that. Thank you for letting me use this as an outlet to tell you guys all about the things that I'm experiencing and going through. Even though some of you don't have infertility and some of you don't have weight problems and some of you just want to see what's in my purse, I guess, you know? But that's what I love about this, is that we all touch each other from different, we all touch each other, that doesn't sound right. We're all able to, I keep just wanting to say we all touch each other. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. It's just so nice to have this connection to everyone, and I appreciate it. I know I tell you guys all the time, but I want you to know that it's so genuine. I really, really am so grateful for this opportunity, and I hope that as a result of this, I have better news to share with you than I ever have before, and that's what I'm working towards. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.